Let's try this for our second video. So this is just a video showing the layout of Just Enough. This is looking north into my front yard. It's looking east. South and west. This year, my front yard goals will primarily be restoring my pigeon pea line, my vegetable garden in the front. I'm kind of showing now. I think I'm going to do peppers and some squash and some green beans this spring. It's what I'm looking forward to. Those are some things that I can harvest fresh and eat. I will be selectively rehabbing my garden around my greens because I'm going to try and keep them in there as much as possible. And this is in my backyard, looking north. This is slowly going to become my food forest. I for a while wanted a fruit tree forest, but I always thought that I would have to do that when I hit the lottery. I made my millions and got my acres of land, and then I would put in my fruit tree forest. But it occurred to me that I really did not have to wait that long. And this is the vegetable garden in the back. This vegetable bed has gotten a lot of organic material over the years. This is where I dump most of my grass clippings or anything green, traditionally, or have been. But I've had a habanero that I was growing there for years and years and years, and this past winter was particularly harsh on my yard and garden. So I'm looking forward to trying to reestablish my peppers. I got a couple kind of exotic peppers that I ordered. One of them is a habanda that is like a habanero but without the heat, and I'm looking forward to experimenting with that. This is my bed of nitrogen fixers. All of those small tufts there are all oxalis, and I like this bed. I have the oxalis there. There's also bastard indigo growing in there. But recently learned from YouTube videos that one advantage of the nitrogen fixers is removing the flowers so that the rhizobia release their nitrogen. And I've been growing them for a while for the rhizobia, but I haven't quite used the chopping of the flowers in order to get the rhizobia to release their little nodules and release the nitrogen into the community. So that's going to be interesting to play with this year. And this is a large old dogwood that I cut down. I was pretty proud of myself for getting through it because the saw only went halfway, and I had to go on ahead and chop through the rest with the axe. But in so doing, I destroyed my tree structure when I cut this down, and that made my Hamelia patens, my firebush, vulnerable to the cold this year. And damn, the doggone tree rats chewed into my tree and compromised the bark in a few places. That certainly didn't help. And this was my shade community, which is where I was planting my pawpaws, which are now all exposed. So one of my challenges in the garden this year will be using my herbaceous plants to provide some kind of shade or canopy for some of the new plants that I have planted. And this is my digester that I am really excited about. It is for anaerobic digestion. and this is just inside my digester. I've just been placing all of my plant scraps in there, and I'm looking forward to using this in my garden this year. I've got two products going on to explore, both the kind of effluent or the fermented juice or the fermented tea, compost tea that comes off of these, and also the composted plant material. The decomposition is really slow in anaerobic conditions, and so the plant material gets exposed to some other decomposition elements that, once they're exposed to oxygen again, that will decompose pretty rapidly. So I am looking forward to feeding this to my squash and zucchini this year, and we'll see how that goes. And lastly, this is kind of what it is all about. It's probably my favorite plant in all of creation. And one day I hope to be able to make a video worthy of doing it justice. I am capturing this moment because it is as this one is just bursting forth and becoming above ground for this year. And that was a quick tour of and layout of this garden.